Chapter 3b. This is the one that dealt with slopes and equations. So on the first one, it says find the slope of a line that's parallel and perpendicular to A to B. So the first thing we need to do here is find the slope from A to B. So we're going to go up and over, always up, and then to the next point. So I went up 3 and over 3. Now, some of you on the worksheet were writing 3 over 3, which was fine, but always make sure you reduce. So what does 3 over 3 reduce to? 1 over 1. So that should be 1 over 1. And then the perpendicular slope, reminder that that just flips it, but if the first one's a positive, the second one must be a negative. All right, let's look at number 2. Number 2, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go up, and then we're going to go over, connecting the 2 points. This time I went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I went over 2 in the negative direction. So 6 over 2, can I reduce 6 over 2? What is 6 over 2 reduced to? Can I divide 6 by 2? 3, good. So that would be 3 over 1 negative. So if this is, all right, so negative 3 over 1. So we're going to write that here for parallel. Because remember, parallel means it's the same. Perpendicular means we're going to do what to it? We're going to flip it and change the sign. So if it's a negative, it becomes a positive. All right. The next piece you're going to have is finding slopes and identifying them. Reminder that your equation is going to be y2 minus y1 and then x2 minus x1, okay? The most common mistake here is that some kids may put the x's first, and then other kids just forget to put any negatives if negatives are on any of the points, any of the coordinates. So make sure you label your points, x1, y1, and x2, y2. y2. All right, so when we plug this in, what should go first? y2 is 0, minus our y1 is 1, our x2 is 0, and our x1 is a 2. So 0 minus 1, if we enter that in the calculator, it's going to give you negative 1. And 0 minus 2 is negative 2. What's a negative by a negative? Positive. So this is going to be 1 over 2. Is this a positive, negative, 0, or undefined slope? This is a positive slope. All right, let's look at number 4. We're looking at the same equation, okay? So I'm not going to write out the equation. We are going to go through and label, though, x1, y1, and x2, y2. What number should I write down first? 5 minus 5 over 6 minus 5 minus 5 is 6 minus 4 is 2. If we enter this in the calculator, you're going to get 0. So your slope is 0, and this is a 0 slope. All right. When you have that one down, we'll go over to 5. Again, we're going to label it x1, y1, and x2, y2. All right, let's go ahead and plug in our y2. Our y2 is 3. What's our y1? 8. Our x2 is 7. And our x1 is 3. Good. 3 minus 8, we should get a negative 5. And 7 minus 3 should give us a 4. So that one doesn't reduce. That one's going to stay exactly as it is. Is this a positive, 0, negative, or undefined slope? A negative slope. All right, let's come down to the bottom. So this same equation is used down here at the bottom. Same equation. All we're doing now is deciding the relationship between the two lines. So we're still going to label them x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. So x1, y1, x2, y2. What is our y2? Our y2 is 3 minus, what's our y1? 2. Our x2 is 2, and our x1 is a negative 2. So that's where some mistakes may be made right there. You got to make sure you have the negative with the number. So a negative and a negative, that's the only time that should convert to a positive. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and then 2 plus 2 is 4. All right, let's do the same thing with our line 2. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So what is our y2 on the second step? 1 minus a negative 11. And then what's our x2? 3, and that should be 3 minus 0. The double negative converts to a positive. All right, so 1 plus 11, what does that give us? 12, and 3 minus 0 is just 3. Can I divide 12 by 3? It should be 4 over 1. Now, if you look at these numbers, we have 1 over 4 and 4 over 1. Are they exactly the same? Nope. Are they complete opposites? But one's not a positive. They're both positives, right? One has to be a negative. So on this one, their relationship is neither. All right, if one had been a negative, that would have been a perfect example of perpendicular. All right, let's go to 7 and number 7. Sorry, I was going to say 7 and 8. All right, let's go ahead and label it x1, y1 and x2, y2. So this one should be 2 minus the negative 7 and then 4 minus 1. What needs to change here? Right, make this into a positive. 2 plus 7 is 9, and 4 minus 1 is 3. Can I divide 9 by 3? It should give us what? 3 over 1. All right, let's try the next one. Next one, we're going to go through, label it x1, y1, and x2, y2. What's our y2 on the second set? 2 minus a negative 1, and then 5 minus 4. A negative and a negative, again, that was the only time it becomes a positive. 3 over 1. So the point of reducing is, had we left it like this and compared it to that, we may not notice that they're complete opposites, right? So we do want to reduce it. So if you look at, not complete opposites, sorry, we wouldn't notice that they're the same. So if you look at the final answers, you see how they're exactly the same? Should that be parallel or perpendicular? That one should be parallel. All right, the instructions state on the front page, but on the back side it says convert to slope-intercept form, then the parallel and perpendicular slopes. So all we're going to do is put this into y equals. Remember, regardless of what direction we're going, what did I say you needed to move first? Does anyone remember? The x. Subtract the x from both sides. When you rewrite it, the x goes first. So negative 8x plus 11. To get the y by itself, what should we do? Divide everything by 4. Sometimes it's going to divide, sometimes it's not, but it's okay. 4 divided by 4 is 1. What's negative 8 divided by 4? Negative 2. And then 11 doesn't divide by 4, so just leave it like that. This is what we're looking for. Okay? We're going to do the same thing on number 9. So what should I move over first? Always move over the x. It's a positive, so the opposite of a positive is a negative. And then when I rewrite it, what should be written first? The x. So negative 3x plus 9. And then what should I do to every number? Divide by 2. Good. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 3 does not divide evenly by 2, so we're going to leave it as negative 3 over 2. And neither does 9. So this one just ended up with 2 fractions. And that's okay. All right, we did need to write the parallel and perpendicular slope, so we're going to add that here at the bottom. So on this one, what was my slope on this one? Is the slope a negative 2 or the 11 over 4? The negative 2, good. Mind you, this is negative 2 over 1. So your parallel slope is going to be negative 2 over 1. Your perpendicular slope should be what? 1 over 2, and it should be a positive, all right? So these are the additional answers they were asking for. All right, let's do the same thing for number 9. What is the slope on number 9? Negative 3 over 2. If it's parallel, am I changing it? No, right? And if it's perpendicular, what do I have to do to it? Flip it and change the sign, right? We're going to do the opposite reciprocal. All right, so see how we were doing the slopes? We're going to do the same thing with 10. We're going to look at the slopes, and all we're going to do is decide what they should be. So what are my slopes here on the two lines? 3. 3 over 1, 3 over 1. Are they the same, opposites, or neither? They're the same. Good. This one should be parallel. All right, let's look at B. On B, what are the slopes on B? 2 over 1 and 1 over 2. They're opposites, but are they complete opposites? No, one's not a negative. So this one should be neither. All right, let's look at the last one. The last one, we have 4 over 1. And we also have a negative 1 over 4. Are those the same, opposites, or neither? Opposites. This one's going to be perpendicular. All right, we're almost done. All right, on the next one, we're gonna go to slope-intercept form, but we have to use point-slope form. So this one says, write an equation in slope-intercept form that goes through this point and has this slope. So whatever point we give you, that's gonna be your x1, y1, and your slope is gonna represent the variable m. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and plug this into the equation. So we're gonna have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So we're gonna have y minus, what did I say y1 was? 15. Our m is gonna be negative 1/3, and then x minus 9. All right, y minus 15 stays the same. What's negative 1/3 times x? Negative 1/3 x. Now, when you multiply these two, you can multiply the 9 by the 1. That would be 9, and then carry the 3. What's a negative by a negative, though? This should be a positive, okay? And then you can go ahead and reduce that. It should reduce. For you guys, we made sure they reduced. So what does 9 over 3 reduce to? 3. All right, the last step is to move over the 5. Am I going to add or subtract that 5? Or that, it wasn't a 5, sorry. It was a 15. Somewhere I lost my number. Am I going to add or subtract the 15? Add it. Am I going to add it to the 3rd or to the 3? Am I going to add to the 3 or the 1/3? To the 3. Good. All right. So our final answer is going to be y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 18. That should be the final answer. All right. We only got 3 more to go, guys. We're almost done. All right. The next one, you're going to start off the same way. So go through. Let's label x1, y1. And the m, and then let's plug everything in, okay? So we're gonna write y minus, our y1 is 20, our slope is 1/4, and then our x1 is 16. All right, so we're gonna do y minus 20. Let's see if we remember what to do with the fraction. What's 1/4 times x? 1/4 x, good. When I multiply the fraction by the whole number, what numbers am I actually multiplying? I'm multiplying 16 by what? The 1. What's 16 times 1? 16, thank you. And then carry the 4. What we're going to do next is we're going to reduce this fraction. Like I said, for you guys, we made sure these fractions reduced. So y minus 20 is equal to 1/4 x. What's 16 divided by 4? (16) divided by 4. 4, all right? Some of us that need to write this down aren't writing anything down, guys. Now have to take this retest. All right, we're going to add the 20. So y is equal to 1/4 x plus 16. Now the question wanted us to go to standard form. So from here, what do I need to do? Remember, no matter what form you're going to, what do we move over first? The x. Always move over the x, even if you're going the other way, moving over the x. All right, so you always write the x first, so negative 1/4 x plus y equals 16. How do I get rid of that negative and that fraction? How do I get rid of it? Do you remember we multiply by the close? We multiply by the number on bottom and by the negative, all at the same time. So remember, the whole point of this is that when I multiply, the only thing left is what's in the numerator. What's in the numerator? A 1, so this should be 1x. What's negative 4 times y? Negative 4y. All right, and negative 4 times 16, this should give us a negative 64. All right. All right, last one. The shortest distance is always the one that has the right angle. What line has the right angle? The line that goes from A to D. So A to D is the shortest line. Now, on the test, we have the distance formula, but I taught y'all with Pythagorean theorem. Remember, it's like doing rise over run. So that black line that I outlined, this one here, we're just going to connect the points by doing a rise over run. We're going to rise and we're going to run. This is 3 units long, and this one is 4 units long. Those are going to be the two numbers we're going to use. We're going to do Pythagorean theorem. Do these numbers represent A, B, or C? Which two? All right, so they represent A and B. So we're going to have 3 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. This is 9 plus 16. If we square it, that's what we would get. This is 25. And you have to take the square root. That gives you your final answer. The distance is 5. It says to round to the 10th if necessary. We put that on there so you just don't assume it's going to always be a decimal. It could be a whole number. So just because the directions are there doesn't mean your answer has to be. It says if necessary, okay?